Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I wanted to share a word of encouragement with you from Scripture. I'm inside in my house today, even though it's kind of a very warm, beautiful winter day here in Mariposa. It's actually Thursday, the 21st, when we're filming this. But there's so much noise outside from all the generators going on. As many of you know, if you live in Mariposa County or Madera County or have heard the news, we had just horrendous winds come through here Monday night late. Trees down, some homes were damaged severely. I think there were some injuries. We're out without power here where I live, so my generator's on outside, and so it was just too noisy outside with all the generators to be able to film out there. But we tried to make ourselves ready. We tried to be ready. You know, we heard that the mono winds were coming. There was an advisement out that the winds were coming. And so many took precautions. If you had a generator, you made sure that it would work. Do you have the fuel for it? Do you have candles? Do you have flashlights, extra water, all of these things? And you can only prepare so much. And certainly the winds were so noisy. Our dog was really afraid. We never let her up in bed, but she came jumping up in bed. It was something. You know, it was heavy duty winds, and we're still cleaning up from it. It could take a while. So obviously would invite you to pray for those in Madera and Mariposa County and Yosemite, places that suffered damage and are without power, and just the PTSD that can even cause afterwards. I know the first mono winds I was in was 1986 in Yosemite, and it was a lot. And so anyway, we'd appreciate your prayers. But we tried to be as ready as we can. And that idea of being ready is what I want to talk about today. I was reading in Proverbs, and I have a word that challenged me, and I hope it challenges you, but it's also a word of encouragement. So it's a word of encouragement, but it's going to take a response from us. And in Proverbs 21, I was in Proverbs 21 because today's the 21st, and Proverbs 21, verse 31 says this. It says, "The horse is made ready for the day of battle, but the victory belongs to the Lord." You know, it doesn't say that the horse is irrelevant in the battle. In fact, the proverb says that the horse is made ready. Now, having had a background in horses, you have to train the horse, you have to condition the horse, you have to expose the horse to a lot of different things. You know, when they were training the ranger horses in Yosemite, they'd throw firecrackers around the horses so they would experience what might be the sound of gunfire, and they had them walk on black plastic mats to simulate walking through water and crowds and all kinds of things. And these animals had to be acclimated, they had to be trained, and then they had to have the right tack on, which was the right kind of bridle, the right kind of saddle, maybe even some protective armor if you're talking about horses back in the day, fighting horses. So the horse had to be made ready. So the scripture never says that the horse is irrelevant or the horse doesn't count. The horse just had to be made ready for battle, but then the writer of the Proverbs acknowledges that the ultimate victory comes from the Lord. It's like when the Lord told the Israelites when they were being threatened, he said, you know, you have to put on your armor, you're going to have to stand firm and watch. You won't have to do anything. Sometimes we have to, but he told the Israelites at that time, just stand firm and watch the salvation of the Lord. When we talk about the armor of God, the Bible tells us that we stand firm. We withstand evil through the power of God within us, as well as the armor. So we're prepared, but the ultimate victory comes from the Lord. And so the thought I had today is, what are those things in my life that God's saying, get in order? What are those things that the Lord might be saying, get your affairs in order? It could be relationships. Maybe the Lord's saying, hey, get yourself spiritually prepared. Maybe that's more time in the Word. Maybe that's letting go of sin. Maybe you're struggling with a hurt or a habit or a hang-up, and the Lord's saying it's time to be ready. Be ready for whatever the Lord wants to do in your life and in our life collectively. And so it's really thought-provoking for us to think about what are those things that God is calling each one of us to be ready. You know, Jesus said, be ready for his return. He said, be watchful. That's the way we're ready, is to be watchful. But what are those things in your life that God might be encouraging you to be readied for? Readying's not always easy. Sometimes if you're like John the Baptist, his whole ministry was to get people ready and prepared for the coming of Jesus Christ and the ultimate victory over sin and death through him. But if you notice, it says that with John the Baptist, he remained in the desert. He remained in the wilderness. Sometimes God has us in the wilderness, so to speak, spiritually or emotionally, to become ready as he's working on our character and readying us for the next move that he has in our life. If you look at Joseph, he spent 13 years before he became the governor of Egypt. He was in prison. He was in a pit. He was a slave. And all that time, God was working on him and working through him and preparing him for the suddenly moment when Pharaoh called him up out of prison. Well, I don't know about you, but there's a lot going on. And I have a sense that God is calling all of us to just rely on his grace, to get ourselves prepared, whatever that means. That for each one of us, it might look different. For some, again, it might be spiritual preparedness through maybe getting engaged again in the life of the congregation and getting time in the Word and prayer and worship. For some, it might be getting your finances ready. It could be getting your health ready. It could be getting relationships ready. But I think God is making ready a people for the next great move of God that we will see and be a part of in our time. Well, thanks again for joining me today. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to be in prayer for those in Mariposa County and in Madera County. God bless and look forward to seeing you soon.